Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something called systems thinking, based on the amazing work of Michael Radin and Slavomir Wyczislak. It's really a powerful shift in how you see the world, from looking at a bunch of separate parts to seeing this intricate, invisible web of connections that ties everything together. So, let's start with a situation that I'm sure sounds familiar. You come up with this brilliant solution to a problem at work, you put it in place, and you just watch in horror as it somehow creates two new, even bigger problems. Why on earth does that happen all the time? Well, the answer usually isn't in the individual pieces of the puzzle. It's in the hidden relationships, the time delays, and the feedback loops that connect all those pieces. And this is the absolute core of systems thinking. It's a framework that helps us finally make sense of all that complexity. Okay, let's really get into this new perspective. It's about making a fundamental switch, From just reacting to isolated events to actually understanding the entire system that keeps producing them in the first place. So, what is it exactly? Well, most of us were taught to solve problems by breaking them down into smaller and smaller pieces. We analyze. Systems thinking kind of flips that upside down. It's all about synthesis, about zooming out to see the bigger patterns and the surprising relationships that pop up when all those parts start interacting with each other. Now, this isn't some brand new idea that just appeared out of nowhere. It's actually built on a really rich history of work from some truly brilliant thinkers. So let's take a quick look at the pioneers who really shaped this field and gave us the tools we still use today. Let me just name a few of the giants here. You've got Peter Senge, who brought these ideas into the business world with his whole concept of the learning organization. Then there's Donella Meadows, who gave us this crucial idea of leverage points, the few small places you can push on a system to get a huge result. And of course, thinkers like Russell Ackoff and Peter Checkland gave us the basic language and the models we need to map out and really wrap our heads around all this complexity. And what all these thinkers figured out is that pretty much all systems, whether it's a business, an ecosystem, whatever, they all follow some basic rules. One of the biggest ones is nonlinearity. You know the phrase, the straw that breaks the camel's back? That's it. It means a bunch of small, tiny changes can suddenly trigger a massive, totally unexpected outcome. Understanding these rules is the key to working with a system instead of constantly fighting against it. And here's the thing. Systems thinking isn't just some abstract philosophy. No way. It comes with a really powerful toolkit that's designed to make all this complexity visible, something you can actually work with. One of my favorite tools is called the iceberg model. It's such a perfect metaphor, right? We usually only see the 10% of the problem that's sticking out of the water, the event. But the real action, the real opportunity for change is in the 90% that's hidden below the surface. This model shows us exactly how to look deeper. We start at the top with the event. What just happened? Then we zoom out a bit and look for patterns. Hey, has this happened before? What are the trends over time? And then we get to the most important level, the underlying structures. These are the rules, the policies, the ways of thinking that are causing those patterns to happen over and over and over again. And the iceberg model is really just the beginning. The full toolkit has all sorts of things, like causal loop diagrams to map out feedback, and stock and flow models to see how things like inventory or even trust build up or drain away over time. Each one gives you a different lens to see the invisible connections that are really running the show. So, how does this all connect to leadership? Well, thinking this way leads to a completely new model for strategy, because leading a complex system is a totally different ballgame than just managing a simple machine. A leader who gets this stuff knows that not all organizations are built the same. Some are like a classic top-down hierarchy. They're predictable, sure, but they can be really slow to change. Others are more like an ant colony, what we'd call an agent-based system, where the intelligence is spread out and things just emerge from the bottom up. You absolutely cannot lead those two systems the same way. It also means you have to be mentally flexible. You need to know when it's time for convergent thinking, when you need to narrow down to find the one right answer to a really clear problem. And you also need to know when it's time for divergent thinking, to open things up and explore tons of possible solutions for a messy, not so clear problem. A great leader knows which mode to be in and when. In fact, the source points out that leadership isn't just one job. It's about fluently shifting between 4 different roles. You have to be a teacher, helping people see the whole system, a connector, building those key relationships, an organizer, managing the resources, and a facilitator, creating the right environment for everyone else to do their best work. Any leader who gets stuck in just one of those roles, like they're only an organizer, is going to run into trouble when the system really needs a teacher or a connector. All right, so after this quick tour through the world of systems thinking, what's the number one thing to take away from all this? What's the big idea? It's really this. If you spend all your time reacting to the events at the tip of the iceberg, you're just going to be fighting fires forever. Real, lasting change only happens when you go deeper, when you take the time to understand and reshape the underlying structures that are driving everything. That's where the real power is. So I'll just leave you with this question. Now that you have this new lens, just for a moment, think about a recurring problem in your own world. What hidden patterns, what invisible connections can you suddenly start to see that you didn't see before?